Hello, my name's Mark Griffin and I'm a historian, arms and armour fan and collector and jouster, and I'm here to talk to you about lances. It's the knight's main weapon, and in fact the only real reason for a knight and a horse is to get this bit onto target. No knight goes onto the battlefield without one. He can't undertake noble deeds or go on perilous quests, and you certainly can't joust without a lance. But although we talk a lot about arms and armour, about horses and swords, we very often overlook this. So I thought today we'd have a little closer look. Now then, to make a lance fit enough to go to the field of cloth of gold, you need some sharp tools, a tree. That's about it. Simple. Let's go and find a tree. Okay, so not so simple. This is a war lance. It's made of ash and is incredibly strong. If you use this in a joust, you probably knock your opponent out of his saddle or do him some really serious damage. So for the battlefield, you use hardwood, like this ash or this oak or beech, or something that's really strong and straight grained. But the cloth of gold is a friendly joust, and don't forget, the whole point of jousting is to break your lance. So what you need is a softwood, like this fir tree here. That one's a bit big, but this one is almost the right size. And you can see here, it's got lots of little branches coming out of it. This is basically an old Christmas tree. And these will give you knots. And knots are where the lance is going to break in a joust. So, having got our tree, off to the workshop. Right, now to get to work. So the first and most important thing, obviously, is get rid of all these little branches here. Now I've started a couple of lances off here. So what I'm going to do is use my tools to start smoothing this off, then I'm going to get rid of all the bark. So the first tool I need to get is a side axe. Now it may look like an ordinary axe, but in fact, if I show it to you like this, you will see it's got a slightly flatter edge to it. So it's not just straight down the middle, it actually has a little curve, which means I can get really nice and close to the flat bit of this tree here. Now, obviously it's quite a long piece of wood to be working on, so I'm going to have to go and sit on a bench and work it horizontally. Also, I'm going to stop using the axe when I need to and move over to draw knives. Now, draw knives are simply knives you draw towards you, and these ones are specially curved to fit around the shape of our lance. It'll take about an hour to completely strip a lance right down until you can start fine-tuning it. So that's what I'm going to do now, a different set of equipment and different tools. So this is a shaving horse, really useful piece of kit, and it's used for holding very long things in place. So whether I'm making a lance or a longbow, I simply put the work in here, I put my wedges in place, I put my feet on the stirrups, push forwards, and it's not going anywhere. And I've got different sized draw knives again here to work, and as the work gets smaller, so does the circumference of the draw knife. So here we are. Now, how wide do I need the end to be? Well, I've got a pair of calipers here set to see where I need to get to. Nearly there. So another few minutes work and I should be there. Let's just turn that round, push forwards, and off we go. So our lance is looking a little bit smoother, a little bit cleaner, and it's now time to work on the grip. The grip's very important to get right. Too far forwards and your lance is now shorter than your opponent's. Too far back and it's going to be front heavy, making it awkward to handle. But the grip's also going to be the right thickness, because if the grip is too thick, it's going to be really difficult to hold, and if it's too thin, well, it might actually break on you when you strike your opponent just on the grip, which means you're going to have an enormous piece of tree coming back towards you and your horse. So you don't want that. Now, I've marked where I want to put my grip in, and I'm going to use this little axe and I'm going to start making some little cuts. And I'm going to go all the way around following my lines to where I want the grip. This is a burr or graper. It's a metal ring that's going to sit just there on the grip of the lance, and it's going to help to lock the lance into your breastplate when you're jousting. The next item is a vamplate. This is like a shield for your hand, and it slides down the lance and fits onto the lance just there and protects you. The first thing that's going to hit you is your opponent's lance tip, so it's very, very important to get some protection for your hand there. And the last thing we're going to fit is a coronel or morn. Now this is a three-pointed lance tip rather than a single lance tip. You don't want to kebab your opponent, so this is going to make it a little bit safer but also easier for the lance tip to dig into your opponent's shield or catch on their armour and break your lance and hopefully score some points for you. So there we are, that's all the parts of our lance all together. So, no matter what you're doing in the tilt yard, whether you're jousting, whether you're squiring and helping out on the ground, or whether you're part of the audience, I hope you have a very enjoyable and safe joust.